I beg to move a motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to euros equivalent of US dollars 190,988,556 from Stanbic Bank for the UMEME Limited buyout. I beg to move.
We're saying we could wait for the report of the Auditor General that the auditor had promised that by 28th of February they should be in position, by 28th of March they should be in position to give this. When we had an interface with the Office of the Auditor General a few days ago, they requested that they could be given 1 week up to Tuesday next week for them to be able to come up with a buyout figure. This constrained the committee members, and it constrained me personally as a chairperson. I tried to convince the members, and the members gave their position that given their observations and recommendations, the committee recommends that government approval to borrow up to euros of US dollars equivalent to 190,988,556 dollars from Stanbic Bank for UMEME buyout be halted until the report of the Auditor General is presented to Parliament. I beg to move.
How long does it take for you for finance to process a loan? Honourable members, let's put all this into consideration. One, are we ready to buy UMEME from? Then the other issue is the time aspect. We should be able to look at all that, those other issues.
Parliament, if Parliament decides that we go up to next week, there is a high risk that we shall not conclude this process by end of March.
From the Attorney General that by the grace of God I've been here a little longer, and I have information that in 2011 this House actually resolved that this UMEME deal must be terminated. And government said then it was very expensive. So when the president says this thing must not be renewed, common sense would tell you that that he doesn't want to go ahead with it. And it doesn't work for the...
Honorable, you're not parliamentary.
Okay, I withdraw that statement. Let it be extracted on the record of Parliament. Okay, those who work for the people of Uganda would have sensed that if we are not moving ahead with this thing, it means it is going to end. How was it provided for? How was the ending provided for? They would have now done the right thing, which they delayed to do. So, Madam Speaker, I now want to lay the record of the letter of Auditor General on floor of this Parliament, and Auditor General has highlighted things he must do fast before this approval is done. And here I lay the letter. Whoever disregards it will pay attention to it later. I have a letter here written by ERA. ERA said, ERA is the Electricity Regulatory Authority, the people who must approve of every investment first, not the minister, not the Attorney General, not anybody, not even the Minister of Defense. It has to be ERA, because they are they have said the only amount of money you can pay UMEME, and they have verified the assets for, that if you go to that place, the asset will exist. That's why I was insisting the minister gives us asset register. They have said what we can pay UMEME can only be $127 million. And the letter is here.
Honorable Guzole, yeah. I want you to distinguish between a payout plus a borrowing. And what you're raising on the amount is answered with a letter, a commitment which was given by Ministry of Finance. Yes, Tony?
Should be given a little bit of time so that the underlying issues can be reflected. For example, For example, in the leasing and the assignment agreement, there's an account called the escrow account on which UMEME has been paying rent and other incomes and withdrawing. To date, nobody in this country knows what that account is holding. And yet this same agreement provides that if there are any obligations, they can be paid from that account. This is something the Auditor General is supposed to cater for. Two, Madam Speaker, there's what we call liquidity facility in the leasing and license agreement. What that facility does is, if government is not able to meet any obligations to UMEME, the guarantee under that facility can actually be invoked. Up to now, we cannot understand why we have chosen to do borrowing when that option.
We're in which page?
On page 2, which talks about the compliance of this law with this borrowing with our laws and the agreements we have executed.
So?
And I did give a disclaimer that I may not go to the details, but I wanted to highlight things that the Attorney General could respond to. Because one of the opportunities we missed was to engage the Attorney General. You are aware, Article 119 mandates that the Attorney General must be part of every agreement government enters into. And before any loan is passed by this House, we must have been, as a committee, satisfied that the Attorney General has reviewed those conditions and is in agreement.
Okay.
Honorable members, one of the conditions in this agreement is that we must waive our immunity. This agreement, the way I've read it, it erodes our sovereignty. Why? We are being subjected to the laws of English laws. Because I have the draft agreement here, I will lay them. That if we have disputes, we will resolve them in London. That undermines Article 129, which sets up our courts. That undermines the supremacy of our laws. Article 2.2 of our Constitution makes our laws very supreme. And if we waive these obligations, it means we have waived our sovereignty. Madam Speaker, one of the things I would expect the Minister of Energy to respond to, which we do not have the opportunity for, is UECDL's takeover readiness. Can I make my submission? Up to now, we are going to inherit.
Can you respect the member?
We are going to inherit assets from UMEME, but we have no asset register. We don't know what we are paying for. Who can answer that question affirmatively?
They will answer.
What is the government of Uganda paying for, and where are these assets? What are the liabilities of UMEME? Are there people they dealt with that we are supposed to pay? Do they have tax obligations? They are supposed to be environmental compliance issues that should be reported on. They are nowhere. So what if these liabilities come to government? Who shall we point to? Madam Speaker, I have a letter, I have a submission from the Ministry of Finance. One of it is what we call the mandate letter. This mandate letter shows what the lenders are willing to offer us. If you read the figures here, it's talking about 225. That is what they committed to give us. And yet Minister is bringing a proposal for 190. Whose figure is the truthful one? If we are borrowing 190, where is the offer letter for that borrowing from any bank? These are things we must be able to reconcile. Madam Speaker, if you could just allow me conclude. Our laws say anybody who makes taxes, who earns income in this country must pay tax. The conditions in this agreement, which I would expect the Attorney General to respond to, they waive the tax obligations on the lenders. Why? And what is the procedure for waiving tax obligation? This is what I invite the House to pay attention to before you approve any law.
Thank you. Thank you.
Not only that, if I could...
We are aberrating from the well laid down foundations of this House. When submission after submission is in breach of Rule 80, 1, 2, and 3 of our rules of procedure, we are proceeding in a manner that is so strange that I've never met and witnessed in this House. I had other issues to raise then, like particularly where the Attorney General waived the tax obligations out of this 190 when the taxpayers down there.
You will have to answer that.
But for this particular one, Right Honourable Speaker, to proceed by way of anticipation and to commit Ugandans and to say in future when this is realized then we shall pay this, I find it extremely floppy. I'll take it, Honourable Semju.
So the information I want to give you, the same government convinced us, some of us refused, when they came here waiving the same deadlines for Magola's factory. We said, do not pay any money until you have acquired shares in that factory. And that was the condition that was given by this parliament. Immediately the parliament passed, they went ahead and paid. Let him bring here, he committed, let him bring here a share certificate from that factory.
Right Honourable Speaker, the discrepancy between 120 to 190 million US dollars is too huge for us to handle in a proper way. Can we respect our rules and then they will guide us at the exact amount when it is due, well audited, then we'll proceed. Right Honourable Speaker, I'll rise to support, but let us really be fair to ourselves and the country.
Thank you.
Today is 20th. Why are you coming on the 20th? Why are you not coming on 30th? Which rule, which law says you could not have come several months earlier? Because we knew that 31st March was coming. You didn't get to know about it last week. So it is wrong, Attorney General, for you to say government could not have come earlier. No, we should have begun to process all of these matters, especially because there are critical components.
Are we going to carry that burden that we will incur the 10%, the 20% for delaying to honor the agreement? We were not here when the agreement was signed. I am sure the people who sat in this House okayed it, and they okayed it for the country.
Thank you.
The stakes are many, including the blackouts in the whole country. You will come here, honorable members, to ask again for an action. And government will say, we brought the document to Parliament and Parliament delayed. In fact, if the executive did not bring this, I would be comfortable. But now that they have brought it, let's return the risk to the executive.
Because we are blaming people who have sat on their job. And because they have sat on their job, the taxpayer pays $19 million, is close to 35 billion shillings. Colleagues, we now need to see what can we do seriously about people who didn't do their job or who did their job badly. That's what we should be looking at. As far as the contract is concerned,
if we fail to pay by the 31st, it will be 10% for the first 30 to 45 days, 15% 46 to 90 days, and 20% after 91 days.
Importantly, I have an amendment of the leasing and assignment agreement. And on that agreement, there was an investment by government of Uganda using a loan from African Development Bank. And that investment is being claimed by UMEME as unrecovered. Why should we have been investing in substations through loans, we have been building lines. Why should someone come and claim this thing as the investment and you want this process to be rubber stamped without Auditor General doing good work? So today, this country must watch whether they have elected MPs to come and represent their interests here or they are working in somebody's interest.
Stop it.
Madam
Speaker. Honorable members.
The motion is that we support the initial motion put on the table by the Minister of Finance, and we disregard the committee report so that we process the loan and we pass it.
Is the motion seconded? Seconded by Faith, by Max, by Ogwang, by Okiror, by Oboth, by Okumu, by Ayo, Dr. Mushemesa, Ivanda, Kilak.
Madam Speaker, there is no motion. He
He
has just said we support.
He put a motion. That you didn't finish your motion. He finished the motion, you're only being biased. The question that the motion for a resolution of Parliament to authorize government to borrow up to euros equivalent of USD 190,998,556 from Stanbic Bank for the UMEME Limited buyout be approved by this House with amendments. With the amendments, those in favor say on the contrary, nay. The ayes have it. Next.